Citroën C4 Cactus is already in Ukraine, and what's interesting, at quite an attractive price. Starting price for this car begins with 407,600 hryvnias. The car was named Cactus, and yet herewith they made this very cactus smooth and soft. There's no suggestion of thorns, but in the real world Cactus is thorny and looks quirky. Anyway, let's not pick up the name. Let's consider that it simply reminds of environmental friendliness of the novelty and its operating durability. A real cactus will survive under the toughest conditions of a desert, won't it? This car will survive under modern city conditions, which are equally as tough. The first step that the engineers made to increase the survivability of this car within a city was making it less sensitive to contact with its neighbors in the flow, carts or bollards at a supermarket parking. What am I talking about? Well, about one of the main points of this car, rubber pieces filled with air on the car's sides. It's these funny pieces named air bumps or air bubbles, the way we put it, that protect the bodywork in case of close contacts with unexpected obstacles. What's interesting is that this production vehicle fully replicates the originally created concept. That is, the Frenchman saw that the public liked the vehicle prototype and making no delay commercialized it. The effect is obvious. The vehicle doesn't look anything like a ruck of a transport moving along our streets. As they claim in Citroën, simplicity is a way to nirvana, and they do not only claim, they also prove it. In new Citroën, the simpler, the better, is the prevailing design approach. The car doesn't have a single hint at active cruise control and lane departure warning system, as those are complexities no one wants. Pragmatic design, intuitive ergonomics and lightweight, that's more important in a modern city. Cactus is based on C3 light chassis. EMP2 modular construction was rejected for hackneyed reason. It's heavy, while in the course of designing this car, kilograms, grams and milligrams of the chassis and body structure were cut out with obsessive stick-to-itiveness. Everything about its interior is nice, despite certain minimalism. There are minimum instruments and even less buttons, which means less headache with wirework at assembling the interior. It's easier sometimes to install one monitor unit than to convey a bundle of wires. When you get into Cactus for the first time, well, if some time ago I deemed Picasso to be very fantastic and futuristic, so it was the thin end of the wedge actually, as here we have everything unusual. This one over here seems to be a somewhat odd foreign object, but due to such dashboard and generally such squared motives of interior design, everything looks very interesting here, and what is equally important, it's convenient and makes it plain that you are sitting in quite a new vehicle of the new generation, not to be compared with many of its competitors in this class. The interior is indeed very unusual and rather large and spacious. Here, if to look closer, to the fore there is such a recession, everything is done this way. Firstly, you can put anything here. Secondly, here is a capacious glove compartment. Thirdly, here we have such a shelf. Here is a space for a phone, here is a space for a phone, and here are large pockets, which, I think, can hold even 1.5 litre bottles. Here we have such a large solid armrest, which unfortunately doesn't feature any compartment. If to look closely, here is a reach-through hole, but, unfortunately, well, that's the point, that it's stylish, but, unfortunately, not very functional if to speak of placing small things. But on the other hand, here is enough space for various small things. Anyway, here we have this little screen. It's exactly the same like the one in Picasso. That is, if you want to do something about climate, you need to press climate. In the vehicle settings, everything is touch sensitive too. As far as I already remember, some time ago in that test, I said in Picasso that it's not quite convenient, as you get distracted from the road when you are looking for the required buttons, namely sensor ones, but there is nothing one can do about it. All the more, it's great that here are the so-called hot buttons. These are the emergency buttons brought out to a separate bar. Here we have hazards, sound volume, defogger, that's all. If to look closer, here is a wave-like protrusion, which for me personally is somewhat hindering, especially on a passenger seat when there's enough space for me. There's much room, but at the same time as I bend over I strike against the roof. In the interior we can also see where and how the weight was cut out. For example, rear windows do not roll down, they crack open like vents, and this means minus 11 kilograms. You can't adjust the back of the rear seat. Bad, isn't it? But then, several more kilograms were cut out. And there is also a minimized dashboard, one-piece front seat, aluminum bonnet, everything for the sake of weight reduction. The effect is obvious. The car weighs less than 1 ton, that's why even a 3-cylinder engine can accelerate Cactus up to 180 kilometers per hour. And just to think that its capacity is only 82 horsepower. You might ask what's in action, how the vehicle acts on the road. It should be noted that it performs really well, and that it becomes clear immediately that some drawbacks characteristic of other light Citroën models, and highlighted perhaps by old journalists of the world more than once, disappeared. Its rear suspension doesn't produce absolutely any strange sounds as you drive on any road bumps. Generally, the suspension is very energy intensive. Even driving over speed humps at a speed up to 80 was be felt only by slight bodywork trembling. What remained unaffected is the working algorithm of the automatic transmission. Just like other models of this make, the car jerks on gear change, especially if you try to move dynamically. What conclusions can be made? French engineers succeeded in everything. They created a vehicle which is modern, lovely and, what is more important, in high demand on the market.